Job well done. Good morning, honorable members and those under the sound of my voice. In our Moments of Impact devotional segment, I'll be speaking from the topic today, a nation in crisis. This morning, my heart is heavy regarding the state of crime in our nation. Over the last several days, there has been a record number of murders in our streets. As a nation, we are losing too much of our young men and women to crime and violence. We are in a crisis. Sadly, our peaceful paradise is swiftly turning into a war zone. We are in a crisis. The Bahamas today is not the Bahamas our forefathers and mothers fought for. The Bahamas today is not in alignment with the Bahamas God created. We are in a crisis. I want to use this platform this morning to appeal to our young men and women out there who are perpetrating these criminal acts to please cease and desist. If you happen to be under the sound of my voice today and you're a mother or a father of a criminal, I make an appeal to you today to step up to the plate and do the right thing and turn them in to the police. Parents, it's time to stop cloaking your children because they will only become a greater menace to society. To help our nation get out of this crime crisis, I want to suggest a few things to us today, as written in the book of Romans chapter 12, verses 17 to 21. And it reads, "Never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you are honorable. Do all you can to live at peace with everyone. Dear friends, never take revenge. Leave that to the righteous anger of God. For the scripture says, I will take revenge. I will pay them back, says the Lord. Instead, if your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals of shame on their heads. And finally, do not let evil conquer you, but conquer evil by doing good." If we heed to these scriptures, we will experience a shift in our nation. In conclusion, I make an appeal to our politicians, to our pastors, to our civic leaders, to our business leaders, to our law enforcement agencies, to our NGOs, and to the regular citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. May we all recommit to doing more to stop the surge of crime in our nation. Because after all, crime is everyone's problem. If you do your part and I do my part, we can defeat this demon that's trying to destroy our nation. Let's fight this great fight together. Let's take our nation out of the crisis. Because if we don't do it, no one will do it for us. Amen. Selah. Think and act on these things. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning with heavy hearts. You said in your word, we can boldly come to the throne of grace to find help in the time of need. And as a nation, we come to you because we are in a time of great need. We are in a crisis. We ask, Almighty God, that you would grant us your mercy. May they overshadow and cover us as a nation. We need you, Lord, to rescue this nation from this demon of crime that's trying to wreak havoc upon our people. We need your divine intervention this morning, God. We ask you, Almighty God, to touch the hearts of the people of our nation. We need you to turn hatred into love, turn discord into harmony, turn conflict into peace. God, we need you to turn revenge and retaliation into forgiveness. And now, Father, we pray for the executive, the legislative, and the judicial arms of our government. And we ask that you would endow them with wisdom, revelation, strategies, and insight to speed up the criminal trials and enact laws to stem the rise of crime. Give our leaders the fortitude, the strength, and the courage to make the tough and unpopular decisions to strengthen our justice system. Oh Lord, we thank you in advance for not only hearing our prayers, but answering them today. Now, Father, we pray for today's proceedings, and we ask that your presence will be in this house. May the business of this house take place in decency and in order. For these things we ask in no other name, but in the name of Jesus. And all of God's people say, amen. Let us pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Before we, Chaplain, do you have a song that we can sing? Because we look like we have a group of church people in here this morning. So, yeah. Amen.
Let's sing one stanza. 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word, just to rest upon his promise, just to know thus said the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I prove him more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more.
Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. Yeah. Good morning, honorable members. When we suspended, we were at communications by ministers. I assume the honorable member for Carmichael, the chair recognized the honorable member for Golden Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy. I rise to give a communication and an update. Mr. Deputy, the past few weeks have been very eventful, and as I led delegations to the 149th General Session of the Interparliamentary Union, or IPU, in Geneva, Switzerland, from the 13th to the 17th of October, and the 22nd OAS Inter-American Conference for Ministers of Labor in Bogota, Colombia, from the 23rd to the 24th of October. The delegation for the IPU was bipartisan in nature, including myself, the Vice President of the Senate, Senator Barry Griffin, Opposition Senator Maxine Seymour, and House Clerk Rashard Flowers. It was a lean but effective delegation, Mr. Deputy, that represented our nation well on the world stage and got the job done. I delivered an intervention on the topic, harnessing science, technology, and innovation for a more peaceful and sustainable future, where I called for greater cooperation between nations for mutual development and progress in taking on our shared challenges. As an elected internal auditor for the IPU, I'm also now in the final months leading up to the start of my duties, which will begin in the next session in April 2025 in Uzbekistan. I also had the pleasure of witnessing Senator Maxine Seymour's work as a part of the IPU Working Group on Science and Technology, where she advanced critical discussions on the ethical governance of science and technology. The end goal is the finalization of the IPU Charter on the Ethics of Science and Technology, which Senator Seymour is playing a key role in drafting. While in Geneva, we took some time, Senator Seymour and I, to attend the UN CEDAW session chaired by Bahamian women's rights activist and noted attorney, Marian Bethel, who has been pivotal in her efforts to protect and empower women and girls on the international stage. It was truly an honor to witness and celebrate her swan song as her tenure as vice chair comes to an end. Senator Griffin participated as usual in the Young Parliamentarian session, where he is gaining a wealth of knowledge in parliamentary procedures and issues related to youth in Parliament, and is advocating for our national positions on key issues. So, Deputy, I left Geneva full of pride because the Bahamas has only been a member of IPU for a year, and we're truly making our presence felt with our contributions at multiple levels at that General Assembly. Yes. On the 23rd of October, we arrived in Bogota for the two-day OAS Inter-American Conference for Ministers of Labor with another lean but strong delegation consisting of myself, the Director of Labor, Mr. Howard Thompson Jr., our Head of International Labor Relations in the Department of Labor, Fonchelle Etienne, and Donovan Dossett, also of the International Labor Relations Unit of the Department of Labor. We also had a member of our Public Relations Unit, Mr. Navarro Dawkins, who I'd like to celebrate this morning. Mr. Navarro Dawkins was nominated in 3 categories at the National Youth Award last night: entrepreneurship, culture, and the Minister's Cup are the awards that he walked away with, and I am proud to not only have him as a member of my team, but someone who is working diligently with the youth of our nation to steer them in the direction of positivity and hope. So congratulations to Mr. Navarro Dawkins on capturing those awards at our National Youth Awards last evening. Mr. Deputy, at the conference, I had to deliver multiple interventions on behalf of the country and participated in discussions for each session. During the second plenary session, I made an intervention on digital transformation and the need to leverage opportunities and mitigate risks in favor of employment. I had the privilege of leading the dialogue on the third plenary session, and during my intervention, I made a call for bold action to confront the dual crises of climate change and social inequality. I proclaimed the urgent need for global climate action and financial support, as our Prime Minister consistently laments on the world stage, for vulnerable nations like ours, where the impact of hurricanes continues to strain development efforts. I also highlighted progress we've made in the Bahamas, including the completion of the first draft of our labor legislative reform white paper, which includes forward-looking measures like gender pay equity, mental health protections, and expanded parental benefits, among other stakeholder recommendations. So, Deputy, we have over 255 recommendations, and a second draft of our legislative reform white paper is imminent. I also delivered an intervention at the OAS conference on behalf of Minister of Economic Affairs, Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis, who is the chair of the Inter-American Committee on Sustainable Development. This intervention focused on the climate crisis, the future of work, and the need for just transition for all nations, as well as the opportunities for intersectoral collaboration to address our pressing issues. In the fourth plenary session, we spoke on the need for social dialogue and gave examples where we've made gains right here locally in promoting social dialogue between tripartite stakeholders. While at the conference, I was humbled and honored by my election as the chair of Working Group 1 at the Inter-American Conference of Ministers of Labor, where I'll work along with my vice chairs to lead initiatives aimed at addressing the evolving nature of work, ensuring equitable transitions for all nations, and promoting sustainable labor policies in the face of global challenges such as climate change and digitalization. It is an honor to have been entrusted with this role, and it is a testament to the confidence placed in the Bahamas to lead. People are beginning to recognize the progress that we've made on labor and want us to play a bigger role in shaping the future of labor on the world stage. Once again, at this conference, the Bahamas was well represented, and we are now making vital contributions to these major regional, hemispheric, and global discussions. Mr. Deputy, shortly after returning to the Bahamas, I was greeted by the news of a 1.2% decrease in the unemployment rate, bringing it down from 9.9% to 8.7%, which is the lowest. This is the lowest unemployment rate in 16 years, Mr. Deputy. And it's proof. It's proof, if any is needed, that efforts of this Davis administration to bring over billions of dollars in new investments to support local businesses, to develop pro-growth policies, and to enact key labor reforms and initiatives is working. The thousands of people who have been linked with employers through labor on the blocks job fairs, labor on the campus job fairs, some of which are coming in for better jobs or even looking for second jobs, can attest to the progress we've made. However, Mr. Deputy, I must note the rate of discouraged workers remains too high, and we want to bring them back into the workforce. We also want to continue to bring the unemployment rate lower, and both of these goals can only be accomplished through training and education to enhance the employability of segments of our population that are currently unemployable. Fortunately, through our expansion of offerings through the National Training Agency, through new initiatives like the upcoming National Apprenticeship Program, through partnerships with local tertiary level institutions like BTVI and University of the Bahamas, and through conversations with international universities like those we met with recently at the Department of Labor via the Charlotte Knowles Thompson Scholarship Agency, we can develop effective professional development, soft skills development, and workforce readiness programs and certificate courses to raise the employability levels of our labor force. I'd also like to note, for the benefit of this House, Mr. Deputy, the completion of our first draft of the Labor Legislative Reform White Paper, which was submitted. And now I can announce the second draft will be ready in a few weeks, like I mentioned earlier. The draft will be sent to Cabinet for review and approval so that we can move forward with drafting the legislation and getting feedback on the drafts from our various stakeholders. So, Deputy, it has been an eventful few weeks for labor. The Bahamas is still leading the way in the region on the labor front. We're signing record levels of new industrial agreements. We're ahead of the pact as the first country in the region with a second-generation decent work country program. We've made major improvements in our approach to social dialogue, and our labor reform process is well underway. Where there are issues or concerns, as there will be, we encourage all stakeholders to reach out. We have an open door policy, and in addition to our regular quarterly meetings, we continue to converse with union leaders. We don't wish to air the issues in the media. We want to talk with you as professionals, and we want to work with you and keep making progress for the benefit of Bahamian workers. Mr. Deputy, we've done a lot. We still have a lot to do, but we have time left, many months left in our term, in fact, and we intend to keep the momentum going. When we are done, both labor and the public service will forever feel a change and an innovative and visionary approach of this Davis administration to labor. At the end of the day, Mr. Deputy, as I like to say, it's always about the people, and that is what the work is about. And I am proud of what we have been able to accomplish, and I thank you, Mr. Deputy.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Order that the documents be brought up. Order that the documents do lie on the table. Further communications by ministers. Thank you, Honorable Member. Communications by the Clerk. Message from the Governor General. Message from the Senate. Motions for leave of absence, leave to resign seat, and new writs. Presentations of petitions. Presentations of reports of committees. Adoption of reports of committees. First reading of bills. No. Thank you, Honorable Member. Second reading and committal of bills. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Carmichael.
Morning, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I rise, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for the second reading of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of an urban renewal authority to improve the quality of life of residents in designated urban communities throughout the Bahamas and for connected purposes. Mr. Deputy Speaker, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O God, thy strength and my Redeemer. Let him see. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I rise today on behalf of the wonderful people of Carmichael, filled with a deep sense of purpose and conviction. As we stand in this honorable house to debate the Urban Renewal Authority Bill 2024, I am guided by the words of Proverbs 11 and 14, which states, "Where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is indeed safety." This scripture, Mr. Deputy Speaker, speaks directly to the heart of our mission today. Without vision, leadership, and structure, communities risk falling into chaos. But with wise counsel and collaborative effort, we can create a foundation of safety, stability, and progress. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to begin by expressing my profound gratitude to my family, who have been a constant source of inspiration and strength to me. My beloved mother, Patricia Bell, my father-in-law, Frederick Chicken Taylor, my sons, my daughter-in-law, and of course, my one grandson. Your unwavering love and support have guided me through the most challenging of times. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I also extend my deepest thanks to the Progressive Liberal Party for their continued trust and confidence in me. I stand here today as a proud member of a party that has always championed the cause of the people and sought to bring meaningful change to their lives. I am particularly thankful to the Honorable Prime Minister, whose visionary leadership has paved the way for the transformative work we are doing here today. To my cabinet and parliamentary colleagues, I express my sincere appreciation for your wisdom, your collaboration, and dedication to the Bahamian people. Together, we are making strides toward building a better future, and this Urban Renewal Authority Bill is a testament to our shared commitment. I extend my gratitude to those who have been instrumental in bringing us to this moment. I recognize the Honorable Ryan Pinder, Attorney General, Law Reform Commissioners Dame Anita Allen and Rhonda Bain, and the fine team at the Office of the Attorney General. I also recognize and thank my Minister of State, the Honorable Lisa Rami. Of course, my Permanent Secretary, who is here in the gallery today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Mr. Reginald Sanders, whose leadership has been invaluable. My deep thanks go to Mr. Stephen Dean, who is here, who is the director of the entire team, of course, of Urban Renewal, who work daily to make this vision a reality. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I offer special recognition to the Right Honorable Algernon Allen and Reverend Diana Francis, the co-chairs of Urban Renewal, whose unwavering commitment and guidance continue to shape and evaluate this program. Of course, Mr. Deputy Speaker and colleagues, I would wish for us to all welcome all of the team, the department heads. We have all of the department heads. We have the Director of Small Home Repairs, Mr. Penn. Of course, we have Ms.
Can you
Lillian
stand?
Longley.
Can you stand when he calls your names?
Yes.
To identify
We have Ms.
yourself.
Lillian May Longley, Program Coordinator. We have Mr. Howard Newbold, my old school master, who's there now as the consultant. We all know he can write out, he'll write our books. All of the department heads, please stand over there in the back. Of course, we have our Permanent Secretary, Mr. Reginald Sanders, who I said earlier. The department head, Mr. Co-chairs, Algernon Allen and Reverend Diana Francis, everybody knows them. Earl, the Pearl daughter. Stephen Dean. We have Assistant Commissioner, Mr. Roll, Cops Roll. Of course, Earl Francis, of course, yes, Earl the Pearl. And of course, all of the other persons, Mr. Deputy Speaker, who in the gallery, part of the Urban Renewal Program. Thank you all. God bless you all. Of course, Mr. Deputy Speaker, last but by no means least, it is a profound honor to have the Right Honourable Perry Gladstone Christie here with us today. It is an honor to have him here today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as we take this historic step to solidify the Urban Renewal through legislative action, a homegrown program that has become a cornerstone of hope and change in our nation. His role, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in envisioning, coining, launching, and championing this transformative initiative has been invaluable, and this is part of his legacy. Mr. Deputy Speaker, before moving to the bill, I would like to take a moment to briefly advise the Honourable House of the progress we are making in Carmichael in carrying out the mandate of this administration. Our efforts continue to bear fruit, figuratively and, of course, literally, with the farmers market ensuring that fresh fruits and vegetables are available for the community. In addition, our job placement assistance are ongoing, providing much-needed support to residents seeking employment in Carmichael. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have ensured that over 300 persons have been employed in the Carmichael constituency. We have also bolstered our community patrols, enhancing community safety and security. Clean-up efforts remain a priority, with the clearing of overgrown properties and the removal of derelict vehicles continuing in earnest. Mr. Deputy Speaker, though Carmichael may not be classified as an urban area, the progress we are making in Carmichael community underscores the transformative power of a coordinated, comprehensive approach to community development. We are seeing firsthand how targeted support and sustained engagement can tangibly improve lives. Mr. Deputy Speaker, today represents a landmark moment for this Davis-led administration as we commence debate on legislation that embodies almost 2 full decades of vision, determination, and resilience. As I embark on this debate, I wish to dedicate my contribution, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to the memory of former Commissioner of Police, the late Paul Farquharson, a man of profound vision, a mentor and colleague. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, you would see him in the photo right behind me with the children. Visionaire. During my time as an officer, I had the privilege of working alongside or under the leadership of Mr. Farquharson, witnessing firsthand his unwavering drive and determination. His approach to community policing was transformative and has been the driving force behind the very principles of urban renewal that we now champion. His legacy, Mr. Deputy Speaker, lives on through this initiative as we honor his commitment and security in our nation's neighborhoods. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Progressive Liberal Party, our philosophy, has always been the unwavering voice of the people, the party that stands rooted in the belief that every Bahamian, regardless of background, deserves a fair shot at prosperity, dignity, and a chance to thrive. Since our founding, we have held fast to these principles of social and economic equality, a commitment to uplifting every Bahamian, and a vision of national development that does more than just talk, we act. Our mission, Mr. Deputy Speaker, has never been about lofty promises, but about real action, especially for those communities too often left behind. These founding ideals have never wavered, and today they are more alive than ever. We see these same values embodied in the work we do, in our drive to strengthen our communities, and in this legislation, ensuring that the transformative power of urban renewal endures, providing a foundation for future generations and a testament to our enduring commitment. This is the PLP difference, where action meets purpose. Where action meets purpose, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and progress lifts all Bahamians. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Progressive Liberal Party has always understood that true progress demands bold economic development and unyielding efforts to alleviate poverty. These, Mr. Deputy Speaker, are not negotiable. They are fundamental. Our party's foundation is built on policies that uplift every Bahamian particularly those living on the margins. Urban renewal is the embodiment of this promise, a direct, powerful force against poverty. It revitalizes neighborhoods, builds jobs opportunities, and fortifies community infrastructure. This is not just a commitment to prosperity, it is a commitment to prosperity for all. Mr. Deputy Speaker, my journey with the Urban Renewal Program began at its inception when I served as a senior police officer in the Royal Bahamas Police Force. The seeds of what would become urban renewal were sown by former Prime Minister Perry Christie, who witnessed firsthand the widespread suffering and community decay during his campaign leading up to the 2002 general election. Mr. Christie expressed, "There is far too much suffering in this land of plenty." And he pledged that if the PLP were elected, they would tackle the pressing challenges faced by these marginalized communities. Mr. Deputy Speaker, acting on that commitment and becoming the government to address the crises faced by our urban communities, former Prime Minister Christie tasked the then Commissioner, the late Paul Farquharson, to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the conditions of the Farm Road community. The findings, Madam Speaker, painted an unmistakable picture of escalating crime, social decay, where persons were actually rotting in the bed, and deeply rooted struggles, issues that could no longer be ignored. Commissioner Farquharson's report was presented to the then Minister of National Security, now Her Excellency, the Most Honorable Dame Cynthia Mother Pratt, who immediately organized a presentation for the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, at the end of my presentation, I will be tabling the Farm Road Project report. We still have it. This is the genesis, Mr. Deputy Speaker, of the Urban Renewal Program. It was in that briefing that we confronted the troubling reality. Urban areas were grappling with not only rising crime, but also crumbling family structures, intensified gang activity, and fractured communities. Our officers witnessed firsthand the impact of grinding poverty, the lure of gang life, and the despair that gripped so many of our young people who saw limited educational or economic opportunities before them. Our intelligence made it clear. Crime was a symptom of a far more deeper issue: persistent unemployment, entrenched poverty, and the absence of meaningful community engagement. Traditional policing alone could not combat these challenges. We needed a transformative, holistic approach that addressed the social and economic roots feeding crime. Mr. Deputy Speaker, while we hoped that such findings would provoke immediate action, history has often shown that critical reports are too often easily shelved, gathering dust with little consequence. But this report, Mr. Deputy Speaker, was different. At this crucial moment, former Prime Minister Christie and his cabinet showed extraordinary vision and resolve, vowing that his government would not accept the status quo and moved to swift action. Hence, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we had the Farm Road pilot project study, and we did the report. And not only we did it, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we began to clear overgrown properties, we began to remove derelict buildings, we began to remove derelict vehicles, we began to take back the community, and we began to take back the spaces from the criminals. We found a number of firearms, we found a number of drugs, and of course, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as we moved into these communities, the crime rate declined. While urban renewal is, at its heart, a socially minded program, it was born out of a powerful commitment to community safety through community policing. From its inception, the PLP understood that community safety and crime reduction are at the foundation upon which all social progress rests. Without safety, societies cannot function or grow, and the presence of law enforcement in urban renewal was not only intentional, but it was essential. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we understood from the beginning that placing the Royal Bahamas Police Force at the core of urban renewal was transformative and a strategic decision. By involving law enforcement directly, we established a coordinated approach that enabled officers to engage meaningfully with communities, understand their needs, and gather vital intelligence to proactively address crime while offering essential support to residents. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this decision, placing the Royal Bahamas Police Force at the very heart of urban renewal, was not taken lightly. Yes, it has stirred controversy among members opposite. Yet, we stand unwavering in our conviction that policing must remain a foundational element of urban renewal. Community safety, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is the very backbone of any society. Without it, development stalls, opportunities fade, and progress halts. By including the Royal Bahamas Police Force, we are not just addressing crime, we are fortifying a safer, stronger, and more resilient Bahamas for all. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, let us confront a misconception just head on. Too often, single-parent households are unjustly vilified as drivers of social decay. The reality tells a different story. Take Barbados, for instance, where single-parent households are just as prevalent there, yet their crime rates remain much significantly lower. This demonstrates, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that family structures alone do not dictate social outcomes. Rather, it is the quality of life, the stability of housing, access to nutritious food, quality education, and safe environment that matters. Urban renewal, Mr. Deputy Speaker, was designed to address these critical needs, not with judgment, but with understanding and compassion, creating a support system that empowers rather than divides. Dr. David Allen was retained to address psychological matters and issues, and Dr. Desiree Cox, Rhodes Scholar, was brought in to document the findings and results of urban renewal. Urban renewal, Mr. Deputy Speaker, provided transformative alternatives to the draw of gang life by introducing essential support systems and services that had been absent in our urban areas. This was no temporary solution. It was a visionary effort to build and rebuild the social fabric of our communities that had long been neglected. Through community policing, support for youth and families, and partnerships with local leaders, urban renewal redefined our approach to tackling these persistent issues. One cornerstone, Mr. Deputy Speaker, of the program was the establishment of community centers, which quickly became the beating heart of our urban neighborhoods. These centers, Mr. Deputy Speaker, offered young people and adults a safe space to find belonging, purpose, and pride. Programs like the Urban Renewal Band transcended simple after-school activities, serving as powerful tools of empowerment that instilled discipline, teamwork, and dedication. They offered our youth a pathway away from poverty and crime, igniting hope and ambition in a place of despair. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the impact of urban renewal was immediate and profound. Just a year after its inception, urban renewal earned the Motorola Community Policing Award from the Association of Commissioners of Police. 1 year later, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and it didn't stop there. Urban renewal continued to receive recognition, winning awards all around the world from the International Association of Chiefs of Police. It won the IACP Prize in 2004. It won in 2005. And of course, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it won in 2006. Beating out thousands of participants. The question then remained, Mr. Deputy Speaker, how could such a program, proven to be so effective and celebrated internationally, have been stopped, reviewed, and dismantled? Now, I ain't say canceled. All right. I ain't say canceled, because they beat us up and me say cancel. Stop, reviewed, and dismantled. Let us remember too, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that urban renewal became a model across the Caribbean. Caribbean nations, Mr. Deputy Speaker, like Jamaica, came here, sent fact-finding missions to witness firsthand the profound impact of urban renewal in our communities with the intent to replicate it within their borders. Right?
The chair recognizes the honourable member for East Grand Bahama.
Mr. Deputy, I have to stand to dispute what the member for Carmichael is saying. The member for Carmichael has said that urban renewal program was stopped and it was canceled. That is complete and utter untruths.
I didn't say cancel, you know.
Well, you said stop, dismantle. None of that is true. And Mr. Deputy, it is a disservice. It is a disservice to all of the persons who worked in urban renewal at the time the Free National Movement was the government. It does a disservice to each one of those persons to say to them that the continued work that they did was stopped, or the continued work that they did was dismantled. So let's get the facts correct. It was never stopped, and it was never dismantled.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Mr. Deputy Speaker and colleagues and Bahamians everywhere, we lived it. We experienced it. When the former administration pulled the police out, when I spoke earlier and said that the police was critical, when they pulled the police out, the program collapsed. It collapsed. So whatever you want to call it, tomato, semantics, whatever, it isn't what it was not what it was intended to be under your administration. Simple as that. But I'm not here for that today. We are here to uplift, inspire, encourage, motivate, and I can say some good things to you too, Mr. Kalani. Okay? So let's stay positive here today. I have my walking gloves today. Okay? But Madam Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we must be serious about this because governments must be continuous. Yes. And I can show how the member for Kalani ensured that in a moment. But when the FNM first came in, they came in with such venom that they dismantled the program. And we suffered, not just us, the people suffered. In those communities suffered. That's the reality. That's part of the issue. You can't take that away. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the impact of urban renewal extended far beyond after-school activities and in the communities. The program also tackled physical decay in urban areas, understanding that a community's environment directly affects self-worth and behavior. Community cleanups, removal of derelict vehicles, demolition of abandoned homes, and repair of inhabited ones were integral to this initiative. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, if you see over to my east, to the eastern side of this chamber, you would see some of the homes that we repaired and that we encountered. And in addition to that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know, we also had these, I mean, it's so much cards. We have to find a way, Mr. Deputy Speaker, how we can, in a very systematic way, deal with all of these derelict vehicles. You know, and let me just say, and I'm going to make 2 points about this point about what we do, what urban renewal is so powerful about. It was not just going into the communities, but it was when you go into the communities, you were able to make recommendations for the improvement and direct policy. Yes. It was because when urban renewal went in these communities and we removed thousands of vehicles, right, Senator? Right, Minister?
Lenny.
We moved thousands of vehicles. We moved thousands of vehicles. We recommended to the government to amend the legislation to ensure that vehicles were not brought into this country more than 10 years old. That was a recommendation coming out of urban renewal. And I would like to make another recommendation that we need to stop bringing in salvage cars with these salvage titles and billable titles. Stop them from coming in this country. The Bahamas is not the junk place for some other country. So we have to stop all of this. Because at the end of the day, when you go in these communities, all of these roadside garages, the cars come in here, they're good for 2 years, and then all of a sudden you see the areas are filled with thousands and thousands. We moved 250 cars the other day from out of Angleston, and like we ain't moved nothing. Like we ain't moved nothing, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So we have to, in a very, very strategic way, ensure that this thing is not repeated. And so we're going to come with some more recommendation on these derelict vehicles and deal with them. Each law cleared, Mr. Deputy Speaker, every home repaired and every vehicle removed sent a message to our people that they mattered, that their communities deserve hope and opportunity. Mr. Deputy Speaker, preventing gang recruitment among our youth is among the program's most critical aspects. Gangs prey upon vulnerable young people, exploiting their lack of support and opportunity. The Urban Renewal Program faced this challenge head-on by integrating school-based policing into a broader framework of community safety. We saw, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that as we moved into community, there were these gangs. You remember the rebellions and border boys and gunhawks and all these smartass and all these gangs, right? And we saw that it started to spill over into the school environment. Now, school's supposed to be a place for safety, where you could learn. But we saw this happening. So out of the urban renewal, we recommended to the commissioner that police should be put into school. So we recommended it to the commissioner, and Commissioner Paul Farquharson took it to Mr. Christie, to the Christie administration. And of course, when you talk about putting police in school, there was this fierce debate as to whether or not we ought to do it. But you all will recall, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I was supposed to bring a box of knives, but I wasn't scared of people today. But Mr. Christie, when he was the Member of Parliament and Prime Minister, when he made the decision, his cabinet, that they were going to put police into school to convince the general population that they'd be buying, he brought a whole box of knives that we took from students. Over 100 knives we took in less than a month from students. Our students with all of these knives, the Rambo knives. And that was the decision made deliberately and in a very calculated way to ensure that the school remained a safe place of work, safe place of education. So we put police in the school. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm going to table this in the House so people could know the history and know what we did. This came out of urban renewal, school-based policing. This initiative, Mr. Deputy Speaker, was not just about law enforcement. It was about fostering an environment for learning and personal growth, free from the influence of gang culture. With the full support of the Christie Davis administration, the late Commissioner Paul Farquharson championed this initiative with a vision to disrupt recruitment pathways. His leadership made schools havens where children could learn without fear. Through direct interventions, including regular counseling, routine bag searches, and the presence of trusted officers, we saw a significant reduction in gang recruitment and violence. These proactive measures were critical in breaking the cycle of crime at its roots before it could claim another generation of Bahamians. What is significant, Mr. Deputy Speaker, about this too is that about 10 or so years ago, the typical profile of a criminal in the country was a young black male between the ages of 25 and 35, coming from a over-the-hill area, marginalized area. Today, that has changed. It has changed now. The profile is that young man between the age of 14 and 25. We have some major challenges, as our chaplain indicated, in this country, and we have to address it collectively. Mr. Deputy Speaker, regrettably, it was this very policing model that was mischaracterized as a basis for dealing with, I'm going to use the word review or stop and cancel, dismantling urban renewal program after the 2007 general election. There are times, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I want Bahamians to understand this, when political expediency disrupts progress, and in hindsight, some decisions are simply wrong. Politicizing and dismantling urban renewal in 2007 was one such misstep. The bigger misstep was that stop, review, and cancellation of the school-based policing program. But we are not here for that today. To dwell on the past, believe it in the past. We are here to look boldly at the future. The Right Honorable Perry Christie, as Prime Minister, was a visionary who championed the urban renewal program, recognizing it as a path toward profound social transformation. Yes. Mr. Deputy Speaker, after the unfortunate dismantling of urban renewal in 2007, the Progressive Liberal Party returned to office in 2012 with renewed resolve to rebuild this essential program. We relaunched Urban Renewal 2.0 with vigor. Yes. Prime Minister Christie entrusted its revitalization to the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, then Deputy Prime Minister, who took on direct responsibility. This dynamic Christie-Davis combination knew that a true paradigm shift required more than just a relaunch. It demanded the strengthening of the program to restore its deep impact on our communities. With Davis's relentless drive and leadership, Urban Renewal 2.0 took shape, supported by dedicated co-chairs Cynthia Mother-Pratt and, of course, Algernon Allen, and under the able guidance of the late Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage as Minister of National Security. Together, this formidable team infused urban renewal with a renewed sense of hope and resilience, transforming it into a force that restored faith and strengthened the very foundations of our communities. One shining example of this, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is, of course, our Urban Renewal Band. This is our band right here. Our pride and joy. Yes. Our Urban Renewal Band. You would have seen, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as we came in, the Urban Renewal Band played for us this morning. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's so good, you know, it's across the country, across all of the schools, public schools and private schools. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm a graduate of Uriah McPhee Primary School, and I see the head boy of Uriah McPhee is also in the band. So kudos to you, head boy, do well. Yes. Continue to do well. Individuals, Mr. Deputy Speaker, who had never played a single instrument, learned to master not just one, but multiple instruments. Yes. Take, for example, Rodella Roll. Start up, Miss Roll. Yes. Let me just tell you about this young lady here. I wish, you know, in Parliament we usually don't sing, but I wish you could hear her voice. She sounded like Patti LaBelle, Roberta Flack, all wind up in one. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, on a serious note, and I'm serious with that, she can sing first one, you can hear her sing. Her mother was challenged to find some place for her and her brothers. And of course, she turned to the band, said, "I'll do something with these children, man." But Mr. Deputy Speaker, not having played no musical instrument before, Ms. Roll can now play the clarinet, she can play the flute, she can play the saxophone and the trumpet. And she's a world-class singer. A true testament of the transformative power of urban renewal. And this is not just a single case, this is not an isolated case. We have hundreds of students who could do that. Today, this bill ensures the permanence of urban renewal, securing its continuity and insulating it from the political shifts of winds, so that every Bahamian community continues to flourish for generations to come. No child will be left behind. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on this point, I must acknowledge the Honourable Member for Kalani. Although initially he called Urban Renewal 2.0 a scheme for turning trained police officers into delivery boys, he ultimately came around to recognize its importance during his tenure as Prime Minister. To his credit, and I want the record to reflect this, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and under his leadership of the FNM, urban renewal was not dismantled. Let's bang on the table for that, everybody. Let them know. See that? As a matter of fact, to the credit of the Honourable former Prime Minister, he allowed it to continue and even extended its reach to additional family islands. This shift reflects, yeah, he did it. This shift, Mr. Deputy Speaker, reflects the broad and growing acknowledgement that urban renewal is a critical social initiative. Such bipartisan acceptance highlights the importance of this legislation, ensuring that the program's stability, continuity, and lasting impact. Today, because of both administrations, we boast 13 urban renewal centers in New Providence, 7 in Grand Bahama, and 9 across the family islands. Thank you, Honourable Member for Kalani. Yes. The journey to today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, has been an arduous one. On January 2nd, 2013, DPM Davis formally requested the Office of the Attorney General to draft the Urban Renewal Commission Bill, marking a significant step toward establishing a permanent legal framework. By November 2016, the bill had been tabled in Parliament following extensive efforts. However, despite best efforts, the bill was not passed before the House dissolved in April of 2017. From 2017 to 2021, during the FNM's administration, no movement was made to advance the bill.
Nothing.
Today, as we debate this Urban Renewal Authority
Don't worry,
bill,
but I just reached nothing. Y'all always do that. Nothing.
we stand ready today, Mr. Deputy Speaker,
Yes.
ready to secure the future of this transformative program. We honor the unwavering commitment of Her Excellency, the Most Honorable Dame Cynthia Mother Pratt, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, the Right Honorable Algernon Allen, Prime Minister Philip Davis, the late Paul Farquharson, and countless others who championed this cause. Through this bill, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we solidify Urban Renewal's foundation, ensuring that it will continue to uplift and transform lives in our communities for generations to come. Mr. Deputy Speaker, these conditions did not emerge overnight. Our efforts, therefore, to reverse decades of decline must be equally sustained and unwavering as we move forward. It is within this same spirit of endurance and purpose that we advance the Urban Renewal's next chapter. The urban renewal challenges we face today are the result of many years of social and economic decline. Problems of this magnitude require not only immediate intervention, but a steadfast, long-term commitment. Urban renewal is not a task to be completed overnight. It is a journey, one that calls for sustained efforts across years, if not decades. Repeated changes in policy or direction risk undermining hard-won progress. When we reverse course or allow support to waver, it is the communities who bears the setback. We must be resolved as lawmakers in our commitment, prepared to see this effort through, understanding that the full fruits of our labor may not be immediate. We are laying a foundation now to ensure that urban renewal becomes the enduring force for change in our communities that they so desperately need. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Urban Renewal Authority Bill 2024 is a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of an urban renewal authority to improve the quality of life of residents. This bill introduces a scope of definitions aimed at bringing much-needed standardization to the conversation surrounding urban renewal. These definitions are crucial for clarity and consistency as we move forward. For example, urban renewal is defined as the revitalization of an urban community, encompassing redevelopment, rehabilitation, conservation, reversal of gentrification, and the establishment of traditional communities. The concept of reversing gentrification and reestablishing traditional communities is fundamental in this bill and reflects a deeply thoughtful approach for urban revitalization. Too often, gentrification brings economic development but displaces long-standing residents, eroding the unique character and social fabric of these communities. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Section 3 of the bill establishes the authority's objectives, which are focused on organizing, coordinating, managing, and executing a variety of urban renewal programs and projects. These initiatives are designed to tackle the multi-dimensional challenges facing our urban areas. Among the objectives, Madam Speaker, is the establishment of the centers, which will serve as vital hubs of community activity, outreach, and support. These centers will not only provide administrative oversight, but also a place where citizens can access vital services and engage in programs aimed at improving their quality of life. Financial assistance is a critical component of this bill, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The authority is empowered to provide loans for minor home repairs and grants for home repairs. These provisions ensure that both those who can repair systems and those who cannot have access to the support they need. Additionally, the bill allows for grants to support urban community programs and projects, which will encourage local development and innovation in tackling issues such as crime, education, and poverty alleviation. Moreover, the bill focuses on alleviating poverty through initiatives like food-based programs and backyard farming, helping to ensure food security and self-sufficiency in urban areas. The bill also targets, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the root causes of crime and social decay. It seeks to implement programs aimed at eliminating crime and discouraging criminal activity through a combination of social services, community engagement, and community activity. In addition, the bill empowers the authority to facilitate the removal of derelict structures and the repair of dilapidated buildings, ensuring that urban spaces are both safe and conducive to living and economic activities. The importance of preparing the next generation is underscored by the authority's mandate to promote educational programs that teach children their rights and responsibilities as citizens and community members. Moreover, the authority will focus on preparing young people for opportunities across the Bahamas through tailored educational programs. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the bill addresses the broader goal of economic development, encouraging and promoting economic activities and small enterprises within urban communities. The aim is to create an environment where economic growth can flourish, thereby lifting people out of poverty and empowering them to contribute meaningfully to their community. Turning to Section 4 of the bill, the power of the minister to declare an urban community, the minister is given the authority to declare any district, settlement, town, or zone within the Bahamas as an urban community. This is a significant power, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as it allows for the flexibility to address the evolving needs of different areas across our islands. Clause 7 of the bill, particularly significant as it outlines the powers of the Urban Renewal Authority. The passing of the Urban Renewal Authority Bill 2024 will solidify urban renewal as a national priority, giving the authority the power to carry out its responsibilities with the efficiency and authority necessary to ensure its mandate is sustained. It will enhance the capacity for inclusive, sustainable urbanization and the management of human settlements through the Bahamas. As our elders might say, this bill will give teeth to the government agency, enabling it to tackle a broad range of complex urban issues, from unsanitary or deficient housing and inadequate sanitation to climate impacts, urban decay, crime, and of course, poverty. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the establishment of the Urban Renewal Authority as outlined in this bill is pivotal in ensuring the effective leadership, accountability, and coordination required to sustain vital program. The bill provides a clear structure through clauses 9 and 11, which include the formation of a board of directors and the appointment of a qualified managing director to oversee operations. Mr. Dean, this level of strategic planning and oversight is essential for ensuring that urban renewal not only meets its objectives, but does so with efficiency and transparency. The bill also reinforces the whole of government, whole of society approach, a model that has proven effective in uniting various government and societal forces to tackle complex issues. The Urban Renewal Program will continue to be underpinned by the Royal Bahamas Police Force through their community policing efforts. However, it will also involve a broader multi-agency collaboration that includes social workers, persons from the Ministry of the Environment, Works, Family Islands, Ministry of Housing, of course, the churches and NGOs. This collaborative engagement, Mr. Deputy Speaker, will ensure hands-on fieldwork that addresses not only crime, but also public health, disaster risk reduction, and environmental challenges. By working together, these entities create a holistic approach to improving the quality of life in our urban communities, whether through implementing social programs or building safe and secure homes. Mr. Deputy Speaker, one of the most crucial elements of this bill is the assistance in cases of urgent need for minor residential home repair. For too long, many of our citizens have been living in conditions that are simply unacceptable, and you see the pictures over there. Homes are deteriorating, and without the means of support to repair them, many families face physical and emotional hardship. It is in response to this ongoing crisis that the Urban Renewal Residential Home Building Minor Repair Program has been established as a top priority of this government. This program is designed to holistically address the physical and infrastructural decay present in our communities. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Small Home Repairs Program has received some 4,482 applications from homeowners seeking assistance in New Providence, and some 700 applications throughout our family islands. 618 of these have come from New Providence alone, and 954, with, of course, 954 approved contractors. In New Providence, some 1,006 homeowners have already met the requirement for repair homes. Meanwhile, in the family islands, 328 homeowners have been approved. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the overwhelming demand underscores the community's reliance on and belief of this program, highlighting both the success to date and the need for additional resources to meet the extensive remaining requests for support. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is not just about repairing homes. This is about restoring dignity. This program directly tackles the compromised living conditions that too many Bahamians are enduring. Clause 14 of the bill ensures that the residential homes building minor repair program is not only a core element of urban renewal, but it remains legally and ethically sound. This clause ensures that the program will continue to provide essential support, transparency, and effectively to those most in need. This is not a political promise or a temporary fix. It is a core commitment woven into the very fabric of the urban renewal program, ensuring that no Bahamian is left behind. By focusing on urgent home repairs, we are addressing both immediate physical needs and long-term social stability. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Urban Renewal Authority Bill addresses one of the most critical components of the program, grants and loans for residential repairs. Clause 14 outlines how grants may be provided for the community programs, while Clause 15 specifies the circumstances under which grants may be extended for urgent home repairs. Clause 17, however, details how loans are to be granted for minor home repairs, creating a structured framework for determining eligibility. This has been the most challenging aspect of the bill to develop, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Development requires proper funding, and as stewards of the people's money, we must strike a delicate balance. Grants are necessary in cases of extreme need, where residents simply do not have the means to afford repairs to their home. The loan provision offers a way to ensure more residents can receive assistance while repaying funds over time, thus supporting the sustainability of the program. The decision as to whether a person qualifies for a loan or grant is outlined through specific policies and procedures to be implemented by the board. The board will assess the financial standing of applicants, the nature of the repairs needed, and whether immediate intervention is necessary. This flexible system is a starting framework, one that will evolve as we gain more experience in its implementation, and I want to repeat that. This flexible system is a starting framework only, one that will evolve as we gain more experience in its implementation. It is important to acknowledge that this approach will not be perfect, but it provides much-needed foundation after more than a decade of discussion and planning. It ensures that we are not just reactive, but proactive in addressing the housing challenges in our communities while safeguarding public funds. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Clauses 17 and 18 set out a strong legal and operational framework for registration of contractors to undertake minor residential home repairs to ensure that every aspect of this program is executed with the highest level of accountability and professionalism. Mr. Speaker, as we move towards the final provisions of the bill, it is important to note that these sections ensure that the authority operates with the highest levels of accountability, transparency, and efficiency. Sections 20 through 24 outline the seamless transition of personnel from the existing Urban Renewal Commission to the new authority. Mr. Deputy Speaker, financial stability is critical to the success of this authority, and sections 25 through 33 provide a robust framework for managing its finances. The authority's funds will come from parliamentary appropriations, donations, and loans, with the board having the power to borrow and invest responsibly, subject to the approval of the Minister of Finance. It must also prepare annual borrowing and procurement plans, ensuring compliance with the Public Debt Management Act and the Public Procurement Act. The requirement for mid-year and annual reports, along with audited accounts, ensures the authority remains transparent and accountable in its financial dealings. Lastly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sections 34 through 40 ensure the authority is equipped with the necessary legal protections and operational flexibility. Members of the board and employees are granted immunity from lawsuits from actions carried out in good faith, while acting in good faith, while confidentiality provisions safeguard sensitive information. The authority is also exempt from certain taxes, further supporting its financial viability. These final sections ensure the seamless transition of assets from the former Urban Renewal Commission and give the authority the legal foundation it needs to carry out its critical work. Yes, Charlie Major, your job is secure. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as we stand on the edge of making urban renewal a permanent fixture through this bill, it is only fitting that we reflect on the lives transformed by this visionary program. Urban renewal has been more than policy or procedure. It has been a lifeline, a source of hope, and a platform for opportunity in some of our most vulnerable communities. Through its initiatives, we have witnessed extraordinary stories of resilience, like Ms. Roll, empowerment, and stories that embody the very spirit of this nation and highlight the profound impact that targeted, compassionate support can have. The Urban Renewal Program, Mr. Deputy Speaker, has not only made a profound impact here at home, but has garnered respect and admiration on the regional and international stage. Its holistic approach to combating crime, alleviating poverty, and strengthening community bonds has earned the program prominence on the world stage. Over the years, the unwavering support from Bahamian businesses and individuals has empowered this mission. Generous donors like the Fox Foundation, Dame Anita and Algernon Allen, Sir Franklin and Lady Sharon Wilson, Bahamas Striping, BTC, Sandals, Royal Bahamian, Embassy Cruise Lines, the Chinese Embassy, the American Embassy, and countless others have fortified the program's outreach. Their contributions, ranging from monetary donations to essential resources, have collectively fueled urban renewal's capacity to bring about positive, far-reaching change to our communities. While this list is not exhaustive, it reflects the broad-based support and commitment of so many to the vision of a brighter Bahamas. Notably, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Albany Resort has made the largest single investment in this program to date. $1 million invested in urban renewal, secured under the skillful guidance of Perry Christie and former Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson as a term of their 2014 Heads of Agreement. We may have someplace to go. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in July, I had the privilege of informing this House about the transformative Battle of the Bands, an event brought to life by none other than our Prime Minister. This initiative was more than a display of talent. It was a powerful testament to the potential and promise within our youth, a showcase of how urban renewal band changes lives. The result speaks volumes. Mr. Deputy Speaker, over $600,000 in musical scholarships awarded, $100,000 from Talladega College, and an extraordinary $504,000 from Langston University. These scholarships have opened the doors to higher education and opportunities that would otherwise be out of reach for many of our young people, underscoring the profound, far-reaching value of the band program. Additionally, that evening, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Right Honorable Algernon Allen and Dame Anita stepped forward and pledged, actually got a check, $20,000 to the Urban Renewal Band in memory of the late mother of the Right Honorable Algernon Allen. Today, Madam Speaker, I am proud to announce that this investment in our youth has already borne fruit. As a direct result of these scholarships, 21 urban renewal participants are now enrolled in Langston University, embarking on their academic journeys this fall. And it doesn't stop there, Mr. Deputy Speaker. A further 15 young Bahamians are set to join them in the spring of 2025. This is indeed the transformative power of urban renewal, changing lives, expanding horizons, and paving the way for a stronger, more resilient Bahamas. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to report that our appeal has struck a chord within our community. Quietly, but with profound impact, several generous individuals and families and foundations have stepped forward to champion this mission. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a foundation has pledged $20,000 to support program participants. This donor is driven by a heartfelt desire to give back to this place, to the place that shaped his journey. Further pledges and donations include a $5,000 contribution, co-chairs, from a community-minded Bahamian family, a $10,000 donation from a national office of an international company dedicated to supporting the urban renewal program, and a $20,000 gift from a young Bahamian entrepreneur to support Urban Renewal's broader mission across the Bahamas. The money coming, co-chairs. All of these individuals, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and individuals recognize the life-changing impact of the Urban Renewal Program. I dare say that this is indeed a new day.
Yeah.
But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it doesn't stop there. I am pleased to report that a family foundation has given, let me hold it up,
They give
$30,000.
Yeah.
$30,000 coming to you, which will be used to amplify the band program. As a matter of fact, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I have the check right here in my pocket.
Wow.
So I'm going to pass it over to the chairs. But I want to read, because I think that words were inspiring for others to give. And in giving the check, the donor says, "Dear Minister, we are pleased to advise of your committed relaunch of the Urban Renewal Ban. We saw the achievements during the period of the current Governor General, the Right Honorable Algernon Allen, those who served as co-chair, and we are pleased to support it. Please find enclosed a check for $30,000. We pray that this will help in your efforts to achieve positive results as it did during the previous administration." Mr. Deputy Speaker, this family has roots, of course, in the Ross Corner area. These are real Bahamians, Mr. Deputy Speaker, giving back to the communities from whence they came. God bless all of you.
Yes.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, pass it to Ms. Darling right there, please, if you don't mind. Come for this, come get this to Ms. Darling. So you can put it in the bank right away, please. Let's cash that. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Urban Renewal thrives not only because of substantial contributions, but also due to the quiet, steadfast support of everyday Bahamians who have embraced this cause. From volunteer youth mentors who dedicate countless hours to guiding our next generation, to families offering small but meaningful donations, these acts of kindness are the lifeblood of the program. Together with major benefactors, these unsung heroes represent the diverse and wavering commitment to lifting our communities. Urban Renewal, thus, is truly powered by Bahamians from all walks of life, embodying a spirit of unity that strengthens us as a nation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we owe a debt of gratitude to these donors who have come forward to champion this cause. Their contributions demonstrate a profound belief in the transformative power of urban renewal and the critical importance of giving back. But we must not stop there. To truly bring lasting change to our communities, we need even more partners, private sector allies, philanthropists, and those who recognize the value of investing in our people. Mr. Deputy Speaker, no government can undertake this work alone. These contributions serve as a powerful reminders that this is a shared mission and that together we can build a legacy of hope and opportunity for our communities. I encourage others, therefore, to step forward and join us in this vital effort to strengthen and uplift the Bahamas. Today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we stand on the precipice of history. With this Urban Renewal Authority Bill 2024, we are not merely passing legislation, we are forging a new legacy, one that solidifies our collective commitment to revitalizing and empowering Bahamian communities for generations to come. This bill, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is the culmination of decades of unwavering dedication, a vision that began with transformative leaders and will continue to inspire hope, resilience, and unity across every corner of our archipelago. What we are accomplishing today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is indeed monumental. Through the establishment of this authority, we are securing the infrastructure necessary for lasting change. We are ensuring that the needs of our most vulnerable communities will no longer be at the mercy of political tides or fleeting administrations. This is a permanent, commitment to a stronger, more equitable Bahamas. As we move forward, let us remember that this journey of renewal and restoration is far from over. It is an ongoing mission, one that calls for the continued support and engagement of all Bahamians. The volunteerism, the donations, the scholarships, the powerful partnerships formed through urban renewal are testament of what can be achieved. Let this bill be, Mr. Deputy Speaker, a lasting testament to our commitment, a statement that we will not abandon our communities to neglect. We stand here today with a vision for change, knowing this journey will take time and resolve, but firm in our belief that together we can restore and uplift every corner of the Bahamas for generations to come. Let us truly make this a new day. Measure us by our actions and not our words. Mr. Deputy Speaker, let us take pride, therefore, in this moment. This is a historic milestone, and the progress that will flow from today's decision will enrich the lives of countless Bahamians now and into the future. This bill is a promise that we are building a Bahamas for every community, every family, and every child so they can thrive. Let us move forward and through God's grace and mercy, with purpose, with vision, and the firm resolve that the best days of the Bahamas lie ahead of us. Because, Madam Speaker, at the end of the day, Algernon and Allen, when all is said and done, we are one. We are one Bahamas. Carmichael supports.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Order that the documents be brought up. Order the documents to lie on the table. Is there a seconder? The chair recognizes the honorable member for Marathon.
Good morning, Deputy Speaker. Colleagues, I rise on behalf of the great constituents of Marathon. And of course, Deputy Speaker, before I go further, by seconding the bill, I know my great colleague for Carmichael would have done it greatly. He would have established protocol, but not all, and I was glad. And of course, there are some other persons in the gallery that I would like to recognize. Certainly, I would like to recognize Mrs. Sharon Martin, who is the advisor for urban renewal. And also, yes, Mrs. Virginia Thurston, who's our director for communications. These are the persons who work behind the scene. And of course, we have Mrs. Gray, Mrs. Bain, yes, the minister's assistants, Minister Bell. And of course, we have Bishop. Bishop, stand, please. We're always grateful for the bishop. He's a member of our board. And of course, we have Trevor Seaford, who is the chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party, Marathon branch. Trevor, thank you for being here. And certainly, we have Mr. Charlie Major, who is the chairman for the board. Mr. Charlie Major, yes. And of course, I would not like to forget that we have some of our seniors who live in Marathon. They decide to come and sit in today. And some of them, I know this is their first time. Please stand. They are also a part of the Marathon Seniors Association. Thank you so much for coming out on your busy schedule. They said you look very young. You don't look like a senior. And happy birthday to Ms. Barbara DeVoe. Happy birthday. You're spending your birthday with us. Thank you so much for that. Certainly, Deputy Speaker, on Saturday past, the Marathon constituency had a breast cancer awareness run, walk, and push. There were scores of residents who showed up. I would say almost 200 plus persons. And thank you to the differently abled community who joined us. Some of them who won some of the awards. We had Mrs. Jasmine Fraser. I thank her so much for bringing her team out. Sheann Fountain, Royanne Mott, Gary Ferguson, Tarmina Strawn, and of course, Mrs. Strawn said that her and her husband has won. And because she guided them along the way, they won the trophy together. So she told him it's not just his trophy, it's hers too. And certainly we had the trophies were given out in primary, senior, and adult division. I don't know if any of our seniors in here won any of the walk. But of course, those who didn't get a trophy, they all got a participation medal. You know how good it feels that you make it to the end and you get nothing? So they all got something. So they was happy to receive this, even if they came last, every participant. But those who cheated, caught a ride, they got nothing. Yes. And of course, Deputy Speaker, I know Mr. Christie stepped out, and I would like to rightfully thank Mr. Christie. Thankfully, and to thank him, I would like to say that he was the mastermind, the chief engineer, the visionary, and the framer of the Urban Renewal Program itself from its inception. He was the one who put the shovel in the ground, and we are very grateful for him for that. Thank you so much, Mr. Christie. Deputy Speaker, God has given us all different gifts. There are some of us who have visions but cannot execute. And then you have persons who are just executors. You tell them your vision, and they can surely get that done. The Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie, the former Prime Minister, was a visionary and an executor. And I'm going to bomb on that. Coming into the program, I was a very young girl, young lady. I was about 19 or 20. 20 plus. And so, you know, so much has changed. And so the program goes as far back as 2002. And as the great member of Carmichael said, urban renewal has changed so many lives. And you know, there are some today who just know about it today. And it was so good he gave us a walk down history lane. But I have a different version of history, because we were in it together. And so we took different steps. And so, Deputy Speaker, there were some then who had outside toilets. And now today they have inside bathrooms. I'm talking about the beginning of urban renewal. Children who never traveled before traveled with the urban renewal band. Stateless children who were crying out to belong. We ensured that today they are citizens the rightful way. Our band grew from 200 to 1,000 strong. That's what we miss. But I'll tell you about the gap. Most of whom are adults now, and they contribute positively to society. And I would have brought a number of them in here when I did my presentation before. There were seniors association groupings in every urban center in the past. We took very good care of them. And Deputy Speaker, let's be honest with ourselves. When you hear of programs or projects, what names pop to your minds? The framers, the movers, the shakers. When I hear of urban renewal, now and then, I think of our Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Philip Brave Davis. I think about our former Prime Minister, Perry Gladstone Christie. I think about the Honorable Keith Bell, automatically. I think about the late Mr. Paul Farquharson. I think about Mr. Stephen Dean. I think about Ms. Carolyn Bowe, and Mrs. Bowe is there. I think about Assistant Commissioner Anthony Roll today. He wasn't that then, but he's the chief today. I think about Mr. Ricardo Richardson, Mr. Kendall Smith, Mr. Douglas. These were the movers and the shakers of the urban renewal that we know about. ASP Leonardo Barros, Mr. Senatus, Bruce Arnett, Natasha White. Who could not remember Ms. Leela Green, Mr. Melvin Seymour, and of course, the Honorable Lisa Raming. This, thank you, Mr. White. This, of course, is not an exhaustive list. I may have forget some of the persons, but I'm pointing to the original executors and the builders. Deputy Speaker, I intentionally left out, for the last, an unsung hero of the program. At the time, she was a consultant, and the great member of Carmichael would have mentioned her. Under the Christie administration, she was responsible for doing a research in the urban areas and finding out the key factors for the social ills that exist during that time. Farm Road, as it was, now it's called Centerville, which is now Centerville. She also did a research on Bain and Grandstand, Fort Charlotte, and Angliston. That being Dr. Desiree Cox. I call her the unsung hero. She did a comprehensive research, and a paper was formulated also by her team. So, Deputy Speaker, clearly, it demonstrated why this country needed urban renewal. Just in case there are some saying urban renewal, what's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal then, and it is a big deal now. We are seeking to expand and grow on our urban renewal program by forming it into an authority. We are dealing with real people with real problems. Deputy Speaker, I will be brief, but I must share a little of what Dr. Desiree Cox in her paper came about. This is why urban renewal was created. She was the consultant in 2004 to 2007. She focused on human development. She presented the baseline details of the socio-demographic profiles of 5 inner cities that I indicated to you earlier. Farm Road, now Centerville, then had a population of 12,909 individuals, which represented 4.2% of the population of the Bahamas. And they had an average household income of $27,367. Bain and Grandstand, 9,373 persons, at that time represented 3.09% of our population, with a household income of $25,047. Angliston represented 10,933 people, and that was 3.6% of the total population in the Bahamas. The average household there was 23,970. St. Cecilia, 10,912. At that time, it represented 4% of our total population, with an average income of $24,994. We're going somewhere. Finally, Fort Charlotte, it represented 9,592 people. And at that time, the population represented 3% of our total population, and their household income was $38,466. In short, these 5 core inner city areas alone, she said, represented 18% of our total population. And according to her research, over 80% of the Bahamian population in this country either historically connected to these areas, either by way of family history, socially connected, or culturally connected to somebody over the hill, and most of us by way of Junkanoo groups and the Junkanoo shacks. And with that said, she further advised in her working paper that there must be a serious investment in the transformation of these areas. And these investments, she said, would have important implications for the country as a whole. Yes, that is why urban renewal exists. Although times have changed and circumstances have somewhat altered, this program was relevant then and is relevant today in these same areas. In 2002, as the Honorable Minister for Carmichael indicated, he talked about the Farm Road report that was done by the police officers. At that time, 12 police officers and 2 support teams started to do the case study and Farm Road project, going door to almost 5,000 plus homes. When I came in, Mr. Beldos would have done 4,000 homes, so I needed to do 1. Right? These officers produced the Farm Road Urban Renewal Report. And it was discovered that in these areas, there was a multi-dimensional approach should be taken to improve the living conditions. Not only leaking roofs, outside toilet. Can you imagine that? It was also recommended that this approach should involve a number of government agencies, as the good member for Carmichael indicated. And you know, our side opposite always talk about where they going with these consultants. Well, this is why we consult. We consult Dr. Cox, because Dr. Cox was she's very, I would say, educated. She's very fluent in this area. As the Minister for Carmichael says, she was one of the first Bahamian Rhodes Scholars, the first woman from the British Caribbean region to receive this prestigious award, just in case we're wondering if her research is valid. She graduated from Queen's College, moved on to McGill University. She's a medical doctor. And of course, just recently, she is a thought leader on longevity and regenerative medicine. And recently, she's headed the writing of the 2024 Longevity and Regenerative Therapies Bill that came here in the House of Assembly. So if you're asking again, why urban renewal? Why is it a big deal? Deputy Speaker, when I first decided to offer myself a public life, it wasn't for the title nor for recognition. My journey started a long time before now. It was back in 2003 as part of the first urban renewal team. Well, the second, Bell was the first. I let them do the work first. And I had served as a police officer, walking the same streets, seeing the same struggles that too many Bahamians face daily. I watched young people with potential who were left without guidance. I saw families struggle to keep their homes safe. And I saw communities so rich in spirit was held back because of challenges. Back then, we didn't have all the answers, but we had a shared conviction that change was possible if we approach it together, right at the heart of each community. That conviction to not just serve, but to stand shoulder with my people is what drove me then, and that's what's driving me now. Deputy Speaker, every time I walk into a neighborhood and see a mother worried about her children's safety or a young man looking for guidance, it brings me back to my old uniform days. I realized my role couldn't end with just responding to issues. It had to extend to helping create long-term solutions. It was then that I knew public life was the path I needed to walk. Offering myself to this work has meant carrying those concerns into the policies we make, ensuring that the voices from every corner of our communities are heard. Deputy Speaker, urban renewal represents, as the great member of Carmichael said, a promise to build safer, healthier, and more hopeful communities. It's a reflection of the belief that every Bahamian deserves an environment where they can thrive. That is the heart of why I choose to stand here today, committed to seeing that vision carried forward for generations to come. Deputy Speaker, urban renewal has always been more than a government initiative. We weren't there to just administer programs in the past, nor today. We were there to listen, and we're still listening. The team is always on the ground listening. We sat in homes of residents, and the team today is sitting in homes of residents, hearing their stories, their struggles and dreams. There was a sense of urgency and purpose that couldn't be matched by mere policy. It required a personal commitment to the people and belief in their potential. Each community meeting wasn't just about identifying needs, but about building a bridge of trust. Deputy Speaker, in those moments I saw urban renewal could serve as a lifeline for so many. It was never only about house repairs or job training. It was about the lives that could be changed by restoring pride and hope. I remember a mother from Bain and Grantstown who approached me with tears in her eyes, sharing how the program had allowed her children to have a safe, nurturing place after school. Through urban renewal, her children gained a sense of security and possibility that transformed her home. That's the power of a social instrument that truly meets people where they are. Deputy Speaker, we reach young men who felt left behind, offering them guidance and skills through mentoring programs. I remember one young man who joined a music class to be organized. Music became his way out, his way to connect, and his way to build a future. He found purpose, and with that purpose, he truly found discipline. These aren't isolated cases. They are a testament to what's possible when a program becomes a partnership with the community. Urban renewal has shown that addressing social needs goes beyond infrastructure. It's about healing social wounds, giving a voice to those who feel unheard, and creating a foundation of mutual respect. When a single mother can lean on her community, when an elder feels valued and safe, when a young person finds their way through positive programs, we're building more than better communities. We're strengthening the very fabric of our society. Deputy Speaker, as we consider the Urban Renewal Bill 2024, we're not just formalizing a program, we're renewing our commitment to an approach that has proven to work. The bill will ensure that urban renewal continue to serve as a powerful instrument for social progress through touching lives in ways that cannot be captured in numbers alone, but can be felt, as seen in Clause 6. The objectives. Deputy Speaker, this administration is laying a far-reaching framework with the Urban Renewal Bill, a framework that will ensure our communities receive the multi-dimensional support they need to thrive. My own experiences working in the Farm Road project showed me that addressing the challenges in our neighborhoods requires more than one isolated solution. When we came to assist one person with a repair, we often discovered much, much more. Families needed guidance, youths needed mentorship, and entire communities needed a sense of security. Our center managers and their teams can attest that they experience this every single day. This bill embodies the understanding, ensuring that communities across the Bahamas have access to lasting transformative resources. As per Clause 13 under this bill, urban renewal centers will be established to serve as central support hubs where community members can access multiple services from housing assistance to education and training programs, all under one roof. Deputy Speaker, this approach is designed to meet people where they are, providing coordinated and readily accessible support. Deputy Speaker, the bill also equips the Urban Renewal Authority to respond decisively to urgent needs, providing emergency grants, as the good member for Carmichael indicated. And the good thing is, if you don't fall under the qualification of being given a grant of having your home repaired, you may fall under being qualified to get a loan. Deputy Speaker, accountability is at the core of this bill. Clause 9, it establishes a board of directors with clear oversight, responsibilities, and mandates. This legislation reflects our commitment to a transparent and responsible approach. Our people deserve to know that these efforts are designed and executed with their best interest at heart. Deputy Speaker, a significant step in this administration's commitment to creating empowerment, resilient communities across the Bahamas. We are laying a framework that will ensure that the Bahamas is not only prepared to face challenges, but to build a brighter future. The day has finally come where we have the opportunity to make sure that those who provide services to the vulnerable and residents in urban communities, they themselves, according to the bill, will have the opportunity to have job security and stability. This administration is not blind to the fact that you, urban renewal employees, here and watching all over the Bahamas, we know that you cannot pour from an empty cup. This administration has made the bold step to fill the cup for you today. The urban employees in Grand Bahama, Abaco, Cat Island, Eleuthera, Abaco, Crooked Island, Bimini, New Providence, all over. Hope has located you. Deputy Speaker, I have a fundamental problem with programs meant to uplift our communities to become bargaining chips in the game of politics. When essential support is delayed or lost in political shifts, it's our people who suffer the consequences. In 2002, under the Christie administration, the ball, give me that ball. The ball began, give me that ball, quickly. And, yes, the beach ball, the ball began, and this program was birthed into a solid foundation. Pass this ball around. In 2007, you can bring it back. When the government changed, not only was the ball passed around, which is the foundation being passed around, the ball was dropped.
They dropped the ball?
The program was changed.
Send it over there to drop it.
Okay?
Send it over there to drop it.
The program was changed in 2007. Look this. Displaying no signs of progress or movements. Deputy Speaker, let me say this. When they thought they was only passing the ball around, they were passing the rounds of innocent, vulnerable people. They were passing the ball around and led to the gambling of hurting people. Hope was lost. Uncertainty was evident. And the people living in urban communities suffered. And all the help they were receiving under the PLP government, and they said, do not say stop, review, and cancel. That's what I have, so I don't want to offend. I wrote it down. Damn, before you came. The program was paused. It was paused, skid off the road, and slipped. Deputy Speaker, the program has, in 2012, started again. Wow. And the ball began to roll.
Roll that ball.
Hope was restored in the urban communities. The marching band was rebuilt. The Senior Citizens Association boomed. Home repairs were so lenient that they even extend help to persons living outside urban communities, those who fell on hard times. The police officers were brought back in droves, working along with the civilian staff. The urban renewal program started to live its mandate again. That mandate that was to uplift the downtrodden, restore hope to the vulnerable, and to eradicate social ills. And today, in 2024, the urban renewal bill seeks to end the cycle. Wow. The chains are off.
Chains are off.
The chains are off. The chains are off. To end the cycle of instability, ensuring that urban remains a permanent, unwavering presence in the community. Yes. Serving people regardless of who government in. Right. The bill makes it clear. We're not here to deliver temporary relief, but we're here to build lasting, reliable support to the people of the Bahamas. Deputy Speaker, no longer will our people be left wondering if their communities will receive support, depending on which the political wind blows. No more politics to be played with people's lives in this program. No more politics. This bill directly addressed the problem by establishing the Urban Renewal Authority as an independent body. Deputy Speaker, the bill guarantees there will no longer be subject to ebbs and flows of politics. By legally enshrining the authority, we're protecting its funding. We're protecting its resources. We are protecting the employees. We are protecting the programs. And we're ensuring that the families get assistance without delay. The Bahamas deserve to know that the services provided by Urban Renewal are not a temporary fix no more. No, sir. No, sir. With this bill being passed, it will mark a turning point in this country. Marco, see that you borrowed 2 minutes from you? Deputy Speaker, to the people living in urban areas, to families in every corner of this country, this bill is a testament that you matter, that your names and your dreams are at the heart of this Davis administration. Yeah. And of course, the bill is ensuring that as leaders, we never lose sight of the people we serve. I stand here with pride and determination, a product of Urban Renewal, as one of the founding members of the project, because I know what this authority can mean for the future of those who deliver it. If you say no to this bill, remember, you are saying no to the committed residents of the Bahamas who have come forward to volunteer their services under the advisory committee. If you say no to this bill, you are saying you are closing the door on hope for those who need us, the vulnerable, the downtrodden, those who financially strapped. If you say no to this bill, you are saying no to consistency and stability. If you say no, you are saying no to our youths. If you say no to this bill, you are telling the employees of Urban Renewal who serve that you don't want their jobs to be secured. You don't want them to be permanent and pensionable. You are telling the employees, we don't care about your family. You take care of yourself. I admonish you to support this bill. Marathon seconds the bill, and Marathon supports this bill.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
They dropped the ball.
Bill.
They're dropping the ball.
What did it say? What did it say?
Chains are off.
Also, the final consultants report.
Order that the
Dr.
documents
Desiree.
be brought up.
Yes, 2 of them.
You're supposed to be an athlete and you drop the
Don't
ball.
drop the ball. I'm going to sign these, okay?
You're supposed to be an athlete.
Pin down, man. Order that the documents to lie on the table. It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a second time and committed. A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Urban Renewal Authority to improve the quality of life of residents in designated urban communities throughout the Bahamas and for connected purposes. As many? The chair recognizes the honorable member for Marco City.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. I'd like to thank Almighty God for this opportunity to stand here and represent the people of Marco City and to help give space to their voice as they talk about and address issues that affect their lives. Mr. Deputy, we are gathered in the House of Assembly at a time when we are facing 104 murders in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. 104 murders in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And yet members opposite, Mr. Deputy, are applauding themselves for tinkering around the edges. Just before the members for Urban Renewal leave, I just want to say we look forward to working with you in 2025 when we take over the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And we applaud you. We applaud you for the work that you have been doing. Mr. Deputy, I lived in Step Street, Forks Hill for 12 and a half years and went on the scene of a crime where 3 young men lost their lives. Since that time, Mr. Deputy, 2 more young men have lost their lives. And we are in the House of Assembly talking about the incredible work being done when the purpose of urban renewal is to address a range of issues, including saving lives of our citizens who are dying under conditions that have been generated over years because of the decay and deterioration of our communities and our social fiber. So the question is, Mr. Deputy, what has been the impact of what Carmichael and Marathon continues to beat their chests about? Mr. Deputy, what is true is that when we introduce initiatives, we ought to count the benefits. And so any benefit that came from the program that they described, we certainly applaud. But we should not be deceptive. And if not being deceptive, we should not be delusional about the impact that has been had. Mr. Deputy, consider this for a moment. I got the impression that the members must not have lived over the hill for any extended period of time, must not be familiar with the carnage that is happening and the real social conditions that our people face. I lived, Mr. Deputy, in Angleton and Coconut Grove in 6 different locations. Key West Street between Balfour and Cordo Avenue, Florida Court, Washington Street, Jenny Street, 7th Street, The Grove, Coconut Grove Avenue. I've lived, Mr. Deputy, in Yellow Elder Garden twice, most recently on Melbourne Road, where my mother still lives and where I go on a regular basis. I lived in Mount Pleasant Village and in the Camp Road community on Arwak Avenue and in Step Street for 12 and a half years. These communities I have grown to love and love the people. And the people want from us in the House of Assembly to engage in serious business about improving their lives. And so the question is, what is the impact of urban renewal? And let me say up front, we intend to support this bill because we believe in the not too distant future we'll be in charge of this country and have an opportunity to reconfigure a program that is not designed in the correct way to have the impact that we desire. Consider this for a moment. Consider this for a moment, Mr. Deputy. If somebody has an encounter with God, we are told by our Christian theology that there is an expectation that the life, your former life, changes and you take on a new life. That's the impact of meeting Jesus. Let me use that as an analogy for the moment. The expectation is that if you introduce an effective program, then that area, former self, would change as a result of the introduction of this transformative program. So the before looks fundamentally different than the after. So what is the program that the government is beating its chest about, patting itself on the back, beating on old desk in an old parliamentary building? It's the urban renewal program. And first of all, it is not a new program. It is not a new program. In fact, Lyndon Oscar Pinling worked on the Grandstand Development Program. It was the forerunner. It was the forerunner for the program that the Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram introduced, that again sought to impact our historical and our urban centers. And then the Honorable Perry Christie came and didn't coin a term. It is a term used throughout the globe, but he certainly popularized it with a program called urban renewal. So it's a continuation, but I know the member for Marathon may be too young to remember that history, and no one bothered to educate her about it. And then, of course, it didn't stop there. The Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis came and introduced yet another dimension to help revitalize the over-the-hill community. So this is a continued attempt to transform our over-the-hill community, where the majority of citizens have either actually lived or emanated from. But let us be honest. We have not hit the mark yet. It is a work in progress, but transformational would be to use that word, we would truly be misguided. And in fact, where there are pockets of significant development, it was driven by the people themselves and not the policymakers. Ask the folks on Palm Tree Avenue, a commercial district now. That's residents who converted many of their own properties into commercial spaces for commerce. Ask many of the folks on Balfour Avenue, or Cordo Avenue, or Coconut Grove Avenue, or Palm Tree Avenue. Again, this was residents without the benefit of government intervention driving commerce and economic development. And so as I listen to this government, once again tinkering around the edges, we want to say be careful, because a part of the focus of urban renewal, and you will see under our administration, will be fundamentally different in approach than what we have today. And so once again, I want to thank all of those who have contributed in urban renewal over these many years, and to say we look forward to working with you when we take the chair. Unfortunately, as I listen to members opposite, again, the member for Marathon talk about to fill the cup. Well, I think the member for Marathon, when she talked about creating an independent body, she seemed to have forgotten that the independence of a body relies on the independent thinking of the people who run it. And this administration has clearly demonstrated that it is willing to throw vulnerable Bahamians out on their head when they take power. Just ask Shamika or Mary Russell. I could give you the names of women who made less than $400 a week, some less than $300 a week, released by this administration out of urban renewal, who were taking monies out of their own pockets to try and bless senior citizens, to bless young people. So as we discuss urban renewal, let's put it in context. The first is, urban renewal under my administration would seek to do at least two things. One, transform the physical condition, the infrastructure, the ecosystem of our communities. And secondly, to transform the human condition. Let's qualify it. This program under this administration, I look at the signs that have been printed. And the member for Carmichael jubilantly talked about the amount of cars that has been removed. This is an old, tired playbook every administration in this country goes to. We continue not to make the fundamental changes. What we do in every cycle is empower the same group of persons by repeating the same tired programs without any fundamental changes. So we clear dilapidated buildings on occasion. On occasion. It isn't as consistent as it needs to be. We cleared on vacant lots that persons quickly put an old car on, or the bush grows again when the rainy season comes. And we repeat the cycle every few months. And then pat ourselves on the back for wasting the public's money because we do not have the vision to put in place a program that has a lasting value. Would it not make more sense?
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Carmichael.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, when the honourable member for Marcus City said that we don't have no vision and there was nothing that we did, when urban renewal was implemented in 2002, at the time for which I served as the Chief Superintendent of Police, we would have made a recommendation when we cleared down those properties that the government compulsory acquire those properties and build low-cost homes. In that context, at the time, Mr. Ken Dorsey was the Member of Parliament and Minister of Housing. We cleared down over 100 properties. 65 of those properties were compulsory acquired by the government and now has low-cost homes for the people. That was a program that y'all stopped, reviewed, and canceled when y'all became the government. Y'all then also, and I give you specific examples. There was a building on the corner of Mason's Addition and East Street, a massive hotel, a massive building was there. And it costed the government $160,000 to break it down. We identified the owner of that building, and we refused to break it down because the persons were in a position of strength to pay to have the building demolished. The F&M administration came in, demolished the building, did not recover no money from those persons, and immediately after we cleared the property, the persons who owned the Chinese store bought it from the people. They got paid in full. The government recovered nothing, and now you have the edifice right there. So don't say that we don't have no vision, we didn't do anything. We had it. We built low-cost homes. You can go through Lewis Street. You can go all through Farm Road. You can go in Baintown where we built low-cost homes. That was a program which was meaningful and tangible. So don't say we didn't do anything.
Mr. Deputy, I don't speak in the way that the member for Carmichael and a number of his members often speak. We don't speak often in those absolutes. We are saying that the transformation you talk about did not, has not occurred, and will not occur under your administration. So just to stick a pin for a moment, Mr. Deputy, to anchor this point. What the member for Carmichael misses is that the many times we have pulled children out of school for these tiny tinkering around the edges exercise. Sometimes we take a 600 square foot house that's leaning and build a 700 square foot house for a resident. And then we invite the marching bands, 3 ministers of the gospel, and 4 ministers of government to come and celebrate this one house that has been transformed. And we thank God for that family life being improved. However, through that same corner, is 40 other houses in a similar condition that have not yet been touched. And so when the member talks about houses dispersed throughout the over-the-hill community, if he can identify 40. We just happen to have several thousands of homes. There isn't one corner. Think about this for a moment. For all the boasts and all the bluster, there isn't one corner over the hill that has been transformed by a government in terms of utilizing the model as it is presently constructed. That's why we could support. That is why.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Carmichael.
This is a clear misrepresentation of what the facts are. It's as simple as that. Now, this morning, I presented the Urban Renewal Authority bill. I said that this is bipartisan. I indicated what both governments did to ensure that there was continuity of the program and ensure that we enhanced it. If you wish to go down that road, my brother, I will tell you a whole lot of things. The fact of the matter is that your administration, you were part of administration that didn't build no homes. Y'all didn't clear no properties. Y'all didn't do nothing with the legislation. It's sat here for 5 years. So the fact of the matter is that what we did and what urban renewal is all about is not trying to use all of government resources to take, for example, Lewis Street. You take Lewis Street. There are a number of homes, you're correct in that context. But it isn't the role of the government to go and repair every single home. We're looking at projects in which we are able to... let me go on a point of order. Let me finish my point of order. So let me tell you how you mislead the public. No, but I sit down. Mr. Deputy, I'm still on my feet. I am still on my feet.
Honourable members,
So therefore, Mr. Deputy Speaker, let me say directly to his point then. He said that we built one house and had called 3 passes to open up all that kind of thing. Let me tell you what it is. It's a misrepresentation because why? What we did was we found a house. So right now, for example, you go through Fowler Street, there was an old lady living in a house that was about to collapse. We then got prison. Let me tell you what it is, because you represent that we just fixed one house when there were thousands of houses that need to be fixed and that's it. No, it went further than that. We used prison labor. We use prison labor to build the house. So we said that this is a model that could be duplicated in other areas with true urban renewal. You all cancel it. That's what you all did.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
The point I make is this. For all the flim-flamming and blustering, they cannot identify a single corner that has been transformed. So urban renewal came in, and you go back to the corner, and it's difficult to see the impact of the program. And a part, I'm going to go through the reasons why and how we can adjust it. And so again, what we will do that will be different is we will make sure that the public has access to a master plan of what Fort Finn Castle and Fort Charlotte, Bain and Grandstown, what it looks like now with the base indicators and what it will look like and how people will function in the future. And so at the end of the day, you heard no mention from this government about what the master plan is for transforming urban centers. Nothing. In no debate they have come in this House and talked about the master plan. We celebrate the transformation of the 66 steps when all of Fort Finn Castle can be transformed if we work collaboratively with other stakeholders. Not just the 66 steps, but the fort. Not just the fort, but the multiple staircases that lead into Mason's addition. But not just the staircases, but building multi-purpose John Canoe shacks and craft centers and community centers that work. So at the end of the day, we can have a fundamental difference. Today, 104 murders. And yet, members would have us believe that they've done something so transformative, where when we have had our sons and daughters die on the doorsteps of some of the facilities that they have had. I remember it. And so at the end of the day, let's be honest about the challenges that we have. And so the first point about urban renewal is we must change the physical condition. So when we transform over the hill and we clear properties, we should create green spaces. We should do housing in a coordinated way to change an entire neighborhood, not just one house leaving 40 houses untouched. We're talking about changing whole corners. The most effective reflection of urban renewal, and yes, the Honorable Algernon Allen did his best work under the F&M. Just go St. James Road. It's best work. So several things we ought to do. One, we should change the configuration of a number of our streets. That should be a part of the urban renewal thrust. Secondly, we should make fundamental adjustments to the infrastructure, not just utilities, but widening in some cases the roads. We should go further to make sure that the types of businesses we permit in our communities do not have a negative impact on the lives of our children. That's why in some of the recent bills, we sought to keep certain types of businesses from not being next to a church or next to a school. And so as you plan your community, it is important to even look at which businesses should coexist in our urban centers with residents. We should address once and for all the roadside garage issue. How many have proliferated year after year under this administration, under our administration? So if we are serious, we will address the continued decay over the hill and in multiple urban centers, where in some yards 4, 5, 6 houses are being constructed. Today in 2024, many homes are still without bathrooms. Imagine that. Do not have running water, do not have electricity. Persons could be in war with someone when they cut down the bush because the bush was used for other reasons that the person clearing it down didn't know. These are the conditions under which our people are living. And what is the impact of that? It's difficult for a mother to convince the child, the female child in some cases, the male child in other cases, from submitting themselves to somebody who will take them in a corner motel because being there in air conditioning and watching cable is a better prospect than being home with no light and no water. That's a come up for them despite the damage to their life long term. Some young men, you can't get them off the corner because their view is they would rather hustle and go back to that house to look in the eyes of some hungry children and a woman who has outgrown them because they cannot deliver. These are the realities. And so we can change the social condition, but a part of it is reconfiguring the environment. And this program does not do that. In fact, what has happened is that this administration has taken a host of programs that already exist in other ministries, and other ministries has the responsibility for those programs, and this, through urban renewal, we are duplicating them. So if you look at the objectives of the bill, and if you look at the, if you go to page, the general, I want you to look at the objectives, and I'll give you the page. Look at the objectives, and after you've looked at the objectives, I want you to go over to page 7 and look at the powers of the authority. Most of those items are in other ministries. So the question is, why would urban renewal concentrate on culture in the park when you have the Department of Culture that has the ability to do it? Should they not set up a relationship where urban renewal facilitates the participation of the Department of Culture in the community? Why is urban renewal doing sports programs when you have sports officers whose express job is to do that? So much of what urban renewal is doing, I say to my colleagues opposite, they already exist in other ministries. It's duplication of services. We are ineffective now in those existing portfolios. We will now duplicate areas where we will be ineffective. And so, again, the first part of the transformation will be for us is reconfiguring the physical environment. The second thing is that the steps that are taken in transforming the physical environment should always be guided by the overarching goals of creating livable neighborhoods and people-friendly and smart districts. We have an opportunity, because of what we are learning from around the world, what others are doing in urban transformation, to leapfrog several stages. There is nothing inspirational or huge about what this administration is talking about over the hill. But you have an opportunity to look at other examples of what countries are doing so that we could build climate smart. We could build in a way that we make sure that if there's flooding, if there's hurricane, the future construction over the hill takes into consideration the potential impact of flooding or strong winds on our houses. Again, that is not a part of what this administration is focused on. In fact, let me give an example, Mr. Deputy. Think about this for a moment. Urban renewal, ask how many urban planners have urban renewal hired. How many architects? How many civil engineers are working with them? How many social scientists are working with them? I heard one mention, brilliant Desiree Cox, who we admire and we believe she's made an incredible contribution. But if you look at the complement of staff that urban renewal focuses, ought to be focused on, those persons are not being added to the inventory. So that's why they can't produce a master plan. Ask the Minister for Carmichael, lay in the table, what is the master plan for the transformation of Fort Fincastle, or Fort Charlotte, or Key West Street, or Washington Street, or Fox Hill? They have none, because they have not conceptualized that. They have not incorporated in their inventory of workers persons who will be dedicated to that. And why? Because what they've sought to do is to take a series of programs and put it under one umbrella called urban renewal without properly understanding what it should be. Urban renewal should be about transforming the physical environment and ecosystem, and I'll come to the second point, transforming the human condition. So again, we ought to be looking at social and health conditions in these communities. We ought to be looking at access to potable water. We ought to be looking at using more renewables to provide power in our inner city and historic communities. We ought to help facilitate access to better spaces where our people can have privacy, they can have access to recreation. In some houses, we have 8 persons living in a small space that has created untold social issues in our community. To what extent is the Ministry of Social Services and Urban Renewal looking at the conditions under which children are living and the negative impact it's having on their development? These are the kinds of issues we ought to address ourselves to. And if you've been in office under multiple administrations And through those same corners, you no longer have 3 houses in one small yard. You have 5 houses without the proper sanitary facilities. Have you really made a difference? By the way, Brother McDonald out of Grand Bahama has been starting marching bands for years. Brother Stanley Kelman, who we just laid to rest. Numerous persons. So Cecil Thompson. So when we get up and tell the emotive story about the impact of the ban, we celebrate those stories. But don't for a moment try to convince Bahamians that that is the ceiling for what we can do for our young people. In fact, your efforts would be better served making sure you empower those that have a historical track record of creating bands and creating choirs and creating sporting teams, as opposed to duplicating again to justify your existence. You should be larger than that. You should stop tinkering around the edges. And so we should facilitate policies and programs to reduce criminality. The reality is the police should never be the lead agency in urban renewal. It should not be. In fact, urban renewal is large enough to incorporate a public safety component. But what has happened under this administration is, in many ways, the police has been a lead agency. By the way, the same police that used to be in the Community Crime Watch organization that was thriving, many of them, I've been told, have been relocated to urban renewal. And so the question is, why? Why? It is a misuse of law enforcement in the manner in which they have been deployed through urban renewal. I've identified some of the professions that are missing, and I challenge this government to move with post-haste to rethink their strategy around how they structure urban renewal. Urban renewal, in dealing with the human condition, should provide greater protection against food insecurity and housing insecurity. Let me give one example. Urban renewal should be able to arm social services in some cases with the extent to which people are suffering because of food insecurity. But instead, what is happening is senior citizens have wholesale been removed of the list to receive food vouchers while they are being reclassified, while the government is looking to determine who qualifies, as opposed to, and I'm grateful that the Minister LaRota is now working to address that issue. What should have happened is that we should leave people on the food program, and only if the information you receive clearly shows they should not be on it, they should be removed, not the reverse. So right now in my constituency, in Marco City, and in East Grand Bahama, and in Central Grand Bahama, and other communities in this country, urban renewal has no positive, very little positive impact on the food insecurity experienced by senior citizens, because they've been removed of the program. How will you address that particular issue? Many people have insecurity in terms of housing, moving 2-3 times a year. The bottom line is, if we do urban renewal in the way it ought to be done, that is, creating opportunities for transforming communities so that we can create jobs in the orange economy, in the green economy, in the blue economy, through massive construction and refurbishment of the over-the-hill and historic communities, we create opportunities for people who are now in a position to afford housing, who are in a position to pay for their own food rather than have to rely on government social assistance. We have an opportunity to transform the look of these communities. We have some corners that only have 20 homes in it. Can Minister Bell and Minister Raming, can you just get a small corner with 20 homes and give an example to the nation of what urban renewal can do in transforming the community? Just the houses, just the houses. Secondly, can you point out any community that you have been working in where the recidivism rate has gone down, where the amount of young people that were being expelled from school after your intervention, that number has decreased, where there are less unplanned families and pregnancies because of your health-related intervention in family discussions and initiatives that you have introduced to reach young people with powerful information? Are you able to point to any of the statistics where the social indices that were bad have improved as a result of this incredible work you're telling us that you have done? See, because what we know is that every year you've been in office and you've failed to work with other stakeholders, the murder rate has gone up on your watch. Every year. So obviously you're doing a good job at that. You had an opportunity to specifically address the issue of gender-based violence so that girls and women can be protected, and you fumbled that ball. You fumbled that ball. Men and women on the other side refused to go down that road. Despite, for some of the women, the individual good work you were doing with some of those organizations came in this House and allowed this administration, where men, in my view, address that policy or the potential legislation from a chauvinistic standpoint, and told the people who've been working on the issues for decades that you all don't know what you're all talking about, we can do it this way. What impact has urban renewal had on the social indicators in the over-the-hill community? Because what I know is that if you drive from Fort Castle or Fort Charlotte all the way to Robinson Road, you could go even further to Pinewood. And if you go from Nassau Street all the way to Village Road, through those side corners, are many, many young men and women unemployed, negotiating life and death issues with no intervention from government to change the conversation or the trajectory of their life. And yet you come in here and try to give the impression you're doing something fantastic. You're creating yet another structure with the same political tribalism that will cause you to fire FNMs or perceived FNMs if you're given a chance, with the same approach to appoint people who are not suitably qualified in some cases, to refuse to hire the right types of people, urban planners, architects, civil engineer, social scientists, real sports organizers and community development. Where are they? And so, in my view, we are missing an opportunity. We need to restore tax concessions and benefits that were made available to businesses under Dr. Hubert Minnis. Make sure that those are in fact put back in place to benefit the over-the-hill community. We need to make sure that officers work as partners with the professionals in urban renewal, and in no way law enforcement should lead the charge in urban renewal. And so we have a chance if this government would listen. But thank God, time is short. And we expect, when the election is called in 2025, that we will replace you and bring a proper structure to urban renewal. And so I close, Mr. Deputy, by just saying three very quick things, Mr. Deputy. One, there is a need for a master plan of what the future over the hill and historic communities will look like once you put in place a proper urban renewal plan that tackles the physical condition of our people as well as the social condition of our people. Secondly, I wish to close by saying, Mr. Deputy, that many of our customs officers are waiting since February, Mr. Deputy, for their overtime payment. Many of them lack transportation to effectively carry out their job.
Pay the people.
Many retired persons are brought back and given responsibility in the line over others who are waiting for their opportunity to be promoted and to be reclassified. And so we ask this administration to move with a sense of urgency to address the customs issue. We also say we do not expect to hear from ministers anymore any surprise about elderly being taken advantage of, because elderly have been taken advantage for and abandoned for a long time. So we don't expect a minister to go on the public record and say they're surprised. You can't be surprised. We have persons at PMH who have consistently been left in PMH by their relatives. So surely the minister must know that. We have children, one in particular on the children's ward. Surely you must know that they've been living there for a long period of time. And finally, for the member for Marathon, we are still waiting. This is the same urban renewal that now wish to lend money, right? This is the same urban renewal that cannot pay small home repair contractors. Can't pay. You imagine putting this government in charge of lending money that they could seize if people can't pay? Not a single Bahamian would take that seriously. Pay the people.
Pay the people with your
So member for Carmichael, member for Marathon, contractors in Grand Bahama who need to pay their bills because hungry mouth got to feed, pay the people. And finally, And finally, this question about social decay occurring, it is a shared responsibility between all of us. But the truth of the matter is, the PLP is in the chair, and they have the job to fix it, and they are failing miserably. And so we intend, in short order, to work with the Bahamian people to fix them, to fire them, to send them home.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Nassau Village.
Wait, I got an intro? I like that, man. Mr. Deputy, I rise once again on behalf of the great constituents of Nassau Village. But before I begin, Mr. Deputy, Marco City would have us believe that there's nothing being done as it pertains to crime. He would have us believe that there's no energy being put forward by the government. But this bill is a testament, Mr. Deputy. The bill is a testament to a concrete intervention being made by the government to enhance those social infrastructures that are being placed to safeguard our communities. Mr. Deputy, before I begin, just a little bit more. I sat in amazement, right? I sat in amazement at the thunderous eloquence by Marco City when he was in the same government 2017 to 2021. Where were all of these proposed initiatives? Why weren't they initiated and implemented then? Mr. Deputy,
And they had an overhead plan.
they had an overhead plan. They gutted the program. I couldn't believe it.
Between 2012
But, Mr. Deputy, I could not believe it sitting down as a member of parliament for an urban area, Mr. Deputy. I mean, thunderous eloquence.
I'm glad you're paying attention.
Yeah, well, you know, I got to. Mr. Deputy, I just was mind-boggling. But today, Mr. Deputy, yeah, I see my constituency as a premier example of what the urban renewal program and initiative can do for an over-the-hill and urban area, Mr. Deputy. And for that, I would like to thank the Right Honorable Perry, Christie, and Arjun Allen for their foresight and bringing it forward, and all of those presently and formally involved. Mr. Deputy, before proceeding, I would just like to mention just a few constituency matters. We have once again restarted our breakfast feeding program bi-weekly, and we are seeing tremendous success. We're also seeing a number of constituents come out and support, and I would just like to inform them and let them know that that would be an ongoing initiative that will carry us through into 2027, 2028, and beyond. Mr. Deputy, we also had the pleasure of supporting and sponsoring Nassau Village's flag football team, right? So we have a young program led by a young lady who is seeking to develop a flag football program in the constituency. And I would just like to commend on her efforts and also praise her for what she is doing. Mr. Deputy, it was George Santayana who gave us the well-known quote that reads, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Mr. Deputy, therefore, I could not and would not allow this day to pass without lending my voice in support of such a bill. Mr. Deputy, it's only fitting that we go over the history of the urban renewal program that we know here today. Mr. Deputy, urban renewal began as a pilot program, as previously mentioned, in June 2002 in the Farm Road area. And as I was a junior in high school at the time, in grade 9, I could remember the initiatives being implemented through Nassau Village. And I commend those persons once again for allowing a program to be birthed and to be taken to the point where it actually produces meaningful Bahamians. Mr. Deputy, the masters of the program then, former Prime Minister Perry Christie, being one of the principal architects of the program, and our now Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis. Mr. Deputy, within 6 weeks of its implementation, police officers and ministry representatives visited homes and businesses, addressing housing issues, crime issues, health issues, and environmental concerns. Mr. Deputy, House members will remember that activities also included the removal of abandoned vehicles, clearing down of overgrown lots, the demolition of dilapidated buildings, and the establishing of citizen patrols. Mr. Deputy, government agencies collaborated to provide community support, improving both social and physical conditions. The role of the Royal Bahamas Police Force is also to be commended in getting this pilot program off the ground, as police graciously accepted the expansion of their role in providing social support to better identify root causes. While this was a new objective for the police, the benefit was that crime intelligence gathering was enhanced, Mr. Deputy, as police were also better able to identify community threats at the grassroots level. Later, Mr. Deputy, urban renewal was used to introduce school-based policing to combat gang violence that was spreading into our schools. Mr. Deputy, the country owes much to the Royal Bahamas Police Force for their role in the formation of the urban renewal program. Further, Mr. Deputy, the program would go on to earn significant awards previously mentioned. The Motorola Community Policing Award, which it won in 2003. Urban Renewal also won 2 international policing awards from the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Mr. Deputy, the success of this pilot program led to the establishment of urban renewal centers across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Abaco. It also resulted in the formation of the National Urban Renewal Commission to govern its operations. Sadly, Mr. Deputy, we cannot wish our policy into action by the opposition. The House is reminded that in 2007, when the F&M hand-delivered a working program, their solution was not to increase or enhance it, Mr. Deputy, but it was to gut and cut it, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, they ended up removing police support, dismantling the bands, and halted the initiatives under the reins.
No, we made some adjustments, that's all.
And halted most of the initiatives under their reign. And my colleague from Carmichael mentioned it: stop, review, and dismantle,
Adjust.
cancel,
adjust.
or whatever eloquence they choose to use. They harmed the program and undermined what it was initially created to do, and that was enhance urban areas, Mr. Deputy. The good news is that, similar to all good movies, there's always a sequel, Mr. Deputy. Transformers fans will know the feeling.
But some sequels are bad now.
Bahamians returned our party to government, and we returned to putting Bahamians first. We re-implemented the program as Urban Renewal 2.0 as a response to the high crime rates that we met in place, unemployment, poor housing conditions, and social decay. Mr. Deputy, we also saw a resurgence of the Urban Renewal Band, which we all know has transformed the lives of many young people, including international participants and participation in events such as St. Patrick's Day Parade in Washington, D.C., where they won Best in Parade in 2016. Mr. Deputy, we do not want to just support urban renewal, but we also want to preserve and enhance it for future generations. That is why the bill is before us today. And that is why the bill before us today is such a timely bill. Mr. Deputy, let me be clear about what the bill accomplishes. For the first time, we are establishing the Urban Renewal Authority, a proper statutory body that will cement urban renewal and provide it with the power that it needs to manage, coordinate, and execute programs across the Bahamas. No longer will this initiative be subject to the political whims and folly of political change. The Urban Renewal Authority will have independence, stability, and the resources needed to continue uplifting our people today, tomorrow, and for future generations to come. Mr. Deputy, this bill also provides a comprehensive community development plan through a wide range of community tools. We're not just talking about fixing houses anymore, Mr. Deputy, though that remains a crucial component. The authority, for example, will now have the power to provide grants and loans for home repairs. And there was a lot of muttering, Mr. Deputy, about why the loan aspect shouldn't be there, that Bahamians cannot, for some unconceivable reason, pay back their loans. But, Mr. Deputy, we believe in Bahamians. We believe in their ability to honor their commitments. And while the opposition snarks and believes that they should not have access to loans, the Progressive Liberal Party and this brave Davis-led administration does believe in it. Mr. Deputy, Mr. Wilson lives on Taylor Street in Nassau Village. And he came into my constituency office saying that, man, Mr. Strawn, if you could just meet me halfway, I have some monies that I would have saved up. But if there was some mechanism to allow me to get the much-needed resources, I wouldn't have to wait on small home repairs. Mr. Deputy, this is the foresight that this bill provides. It gives multiple avenues for Bahamians to access the much-needed resources. So we do believe in Bahamians, and we are hopeful, and that is why the provision for loans was placed in this bill. Mr. Deputy, this will not only improve the quality of life for residents, but also restore pride in our neighborhoods. It is unacceptable that families of humbler backgrounds should be forced to live in unsafe, dilapidated homes. With this bill, Mr. Deputy, no child would have to sleep under a leaky roof or study in a dimly lit corner. Mr. Deputy, what truly excites me about this bill is its forward-thinking approach to community development, as it would establish the urban renewal centers throughout the communities as places where our young people can thrive and learn. Mr. Deputy, these centers will also offer job training, parenting workshops, and crime prevention initiatives, which are the building blocks for a safer, stronger, and more empowered community. We're talking about preparing our young people for the digital age with AI technology classes. We're talking about strengthening families through parenting programs. We're talking about empowering entrepreneurs through job training and skills development. We're talking about what young Bahamians are talking about, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, I want to draw the House's attention to the financial provisions captured in the bill. For the first time, the urban renewal will have a clear statutory funding mechanism. This includes parliamentary appropriations that covers the ability to receive donorship and manage its own funds. Mr. Deputy, this means sustainability. This means continuity. This means that we, for the first time in a long time, will have an independent, thriving urban renewal. Mr. Deputy, this means that when a constituent comes to my Nassau Village constituency office asking about home repairs for their home or community program, I can highlight and point them to specific provisions in the law that guarantee these services. Mr. Deputy, the bill also enforces strict oversight on contractors and ensures accountability for how funds are to be allocated or used. Gone are the days of shoddy repairs and wasted resources. Every dollar spent will be accounted for, every repair inspected, and every project completed to the highest standard. Mr. Deputy, I've seen firsthand in the constituency of Nassau Village how urban renewal has changed lives. I've seen young people choose discipline of a marching band over the laws of the streets. Like they would say, you know, we would go to the marching band instead of choosing the street life. I've seen elderly residents receive the dignity of home repairs they couldn't otherwise afford. I've seen communities come together through programs that the bill will now protect and enhance. Mr. Deputy, this bill, we build on the legacy of our past successes, but we do not simply stop there. This is about evolution, Mr. Deputy. This is about taking what works and making it work even better. We're setting a course for the future, a future where every Bahamian and every Nassau villager has the opportunities and support that they need to thrive. Mr. Deputy, Nassau Village supports this bill.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many, the chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Southern Shores, for Bain and Grandstown. No, let him start, please. Let him start. Bain, the chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Bain and Grandstown. The time. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Golden Gates.
Mr. Deputy, seeing that we are coming near to the 1 o'clock hour, I would like to move that we suspend until 3 p.m. and return.
Is there a seconder? It has been moved and seconded that the business of the House be suspended until 3 p.m. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of the House stands suspended until 3 p.m.
Carried. Final adjournment?